Thank you for staying with us. It's time now to take a look at stories making headlines on the front page of Nigerian newspapers. And I begin with the Daily Trust. The major story here says Judgment Day for Tinubu, Atiku Obi as Supreme Court rules today. Judgment Day for Tinubu, Atiku Obi as Supreme Court rules today. It's decision day with regards to the matter, the case put forward by the former Vice President Atiku Abubakar, who represented the People's Democratic Party in the 2023 presidential election, as well as Labour Party presidential candidate at the same election, Peter Obi. The matters will be decided today, and the reaction coming from the various parties involved. I will win, President Bola Tinubu is speaking. I've made my case. Former Vice President Atiku Abubakar is also saying, we are confident of our candidate's victory. Labour Party is also reacting. Security has been beefed up at the Supreme Court complex to ensure there is no breakdown of law and order at the end of the day. And then we have the story here. DSS releases ex-FCC chair, that's Abdulrasheed Bawa, after 133 days. Senate moves to bar CBN governors from partisan politics. The Senate wants to address some lapses they feel they have seen in the laws that put together the CBN. And then we have this story on the war on Gaza. Russia resolution fails at UN Security Council. And then on the downstrip here, 9,000 Nigerians defrauded into enlisting for federal government's household palliative. And then at the top corner, General Alkali's body was butchered after he was killed. Witnesses speaking. A sad one there. Now, Tinubu out this morning as Adamu Fika buried in Kaduna. Court dismisses suit by ExxonMobil against NMDPRA. All of the stories you find on the front page of the Daily Trust. And we'll move to the Voice of Liberty. It's the D-Day. Supreme Court to deliver judgment today on Atiku Obi's appeals against Tinubu. D-Day. Supreme Court to deliver judgment today on Atiku Obi's appeals against Tinubu. All right. And then down here, we find forex transactions outside official window to soon attract excise taxes. That's what the federal government is saying. Now, new EFCC chair Olukoyede orders staff to declare their assets. We mentioned this earlier. Then another story, Igbo elder slam clerk over demand for Abia Imo under removal from NDDC. And down the strip here, we should thank ex-President Buhari in a very special way. Bishop Kuka is speaking. And then at the top corner, Nigeria, a safe haven for foreign investors. Bagudu is speaking. NRC to launch e-ticketing for train trips next week. Then we see the story, Senate considers bill seeking to bar CBN governor deputies from politics. We'll move now to the front page of the Nigerian Tribune. And the major story here says 8-month battle over Tinubu's victory ends today as Supreme Court decides Atiku Obi's appeals. And then another story here, for the government should order NNPCL to sell petrol diesel directly to marketers. Ipman is already speaking. Court stops Senate's award of 18.4 billion naira compensation to 36 Rivers oil communities. 2,360 children killed in Gaza Strip. UNICEF is speaking with regards to the war on Gaza. And now IPPIS, federal government threatens to remove unverified civil servants from payroll October the 27th. FRIN shut down as EFCC students clash in Ibadan. That happened yesterday. Now, armed robbers invade Taswood private hostels, rape for students. A very sad development there. And then another story by Elsa. APC reacts as INEC delists silver from candidates' names. APC reacts as INEC delists silver from candidates' names. And bill to ban CBN governor deputies from partisan politics passes second reading at Senate. Now, 9 states get new resident electoral commissioners. And at the top corner, revisit 2014 National Confab Report. South leaders tell Tinubu National Assembly. Nigeria will be in deeper trouble if we don't cut waste. Obaseki, that's the governor of Edo State, is warning. Now, court removes Gandhi as shown of Ogbomoso, others fresh selection process. A court removes Gandhi as shown of Ogbomoso, others fresh selection process. All right. We'll move to the Daily Times now. And the story here is Atiku Obi appeal finale today. Supreme Court holds aces. Will Tinubu remain president? That's a question. Will Nigerians see a new era? That's another question. Today is last lap of hotly contested process. All right. And that's the picture. There is a scene of a rainstorm in Ikire, Irewole local government area of Osun State. Some issues there with the houses affected by a rainstorm. Another story here says air traffic controllers raised the alarm on state of facilities, disaster waiting to happen. All the details of the stories on the front page of the Daily Times. We move quickly now to this Nigerian newspaper. And the major story here is still talking about the Supreme Court. The final word decides Atiku Obi's case against Tinubu. Tension as Nigerians eagerly await outcome. In peace we come, Christian and Islamic clerics visit FCT minister. Right, these are the pictures of the FCT minister, Nyesom Wike, welcoming the national president of the Christian Association of Nigeria, Most Reverend Daniel Oko. And then on the other side, we have the minister as well welcoming the chairman of the Committee of League of Imams Initiative, Dr. Tajuddin Adigun. It was a courtesy visit to his office yesterday. And then on this, there's the story here. It says INEC drops silver from Bayelsa Guba list. Disqualification will be reversed by court, says APC, as candidates lawyer writes commission to withdraw amended list. This has to do with the off-cycle elections coming up next month. Now, Tinubu appoints 9 INEC recs, approves 18 billion naira for fallen heroes' families. Ohanes Islam's clerk over call to expunge Abia Imo Undo from NDDC. And then another story at the top corner, Senate considers bill to ban CBN governor from partisan politics. And we quickly move now to the leadership newspaper, and the major story still talking about the presidential appeals. Suspense as Supreme Court delivers judgment today. Tinubu Atiku Obi supporters upbeat. Police beef up security in Abuja. And then another story here quickly. Northern governors, others mourn former SGF Adamu Fika. And beware of ambitious politicians, Wike tells religious leaders. And to the Nigerian NewsDirect, the major story, case against Tinubu, anxiety as Supreme Court determines Atiku Obi's fate today. Another story, NCDMB invests over 50 million hours of training to develop local content talents. A Senate moves to amend CBN Act, ban governor from partisan politics, and infrastructure deficits. Vice President Shetima identifies capital market as sustainable alternative to borrowing. Abiodun seeks end to flooding in Isheri community as ministers pledge to develop solutions. And investors lose 6.8 billion naira as NGX trading closes negatively. Armed Forces Remembrance Day, Tinubu approves 18 billion naira life assurance policy for families. Ibrahim.
All right, the first one with me here is the Daily Independent with the Kika, CSU records, why Atiku's plea for fresh evidence may not succeed. The writer reads, Supreme Court rules in Atiku Obi appeals against Tinubu today. Rep receive native report probe 8 trillion naira unremitted revenue. That's on page 29. Capital markets can help bridge infrastructure gap. VP Shetima. Tinubu appoints Oyebamiji, Niwa MD, Ukeima, CEO, Shapers Council. Boosts INEC's operation with appointments of 9 recs. And Senate moves to bar CBN governor deputies from partisan politics to stop use of foreign currency for transactions in Nigeria. And above the nameplate, air traffic controller raised the alarm controllers raised the alarm over poor navigation aids. Airlines still fly blind in Nigeria. Aviation experts. Tinubu to present 26.1 trillion naira 2024 budget to National Assembly early November. OK's 18 billion naira group life assurance plan for fallen soldiers' families. Now you see that on the front page of the Daily Independent. Next is the Nation newspaper. Shetima, farm centers in 774 councils to take off soon. Farm centers in 774 councils to take off soon. Vice President woos investors with Nigeria's 70 million hectares of arable land. And on the bottom strip, CBN amendment bill scales second reading in Senate. You see that on page 7 of the Nation newspaper. Also, infrastructure funding, capital market cash replaces foreign loans. That's according to the Vice President Kashim Shettima and President Okay's 18 billion naira assurance policy for fallen heroes family. Bawa released. That's on the front page of the Nation newspaper. And above the the flag, federal government to delist unverified workers from payroll. 10 nominees for Senate screening as Rex. That's all about it for the Nation newspaper. Next is First News. $3.4 billion forex fraud. Tinubu's special investigator gets death threats amid Dangote Group's probe. Obaze family team members receiving multiple death threats from anonymous callers in the past few days. Asorok cabal pressuring him to hands-off probe. Anonymous callers vow to induce presidency. Federal government top officials to influence probe call-off. We have to get to the bottom of this probe. Reps receive native reports, begins forensic probe of 8 trillion naira unremitted subsidy scam. Court dethrones Gandhi as Seun of Ogbomosho, orders fresh selection process. Reps reject motion seeking lawmakers to pay WAEC, NECO, JAMB fees. Nigeria electricity deficit, world's largest UK envoy. And then on the ear of the newspaper, Bayelsa Guba, INEC removes Silver's name from candidates list. We also have Kaduna ex-Senator Sonny opens up on Wike. Presidential poll, Supreme Court fixes Thursday for judgment. We are sure of victory. That's according to the Labour Party there. It remains to be seen what's going to happen today. Moving on to the Guardian newspaper. The Kika reads, ex-governor turned ministers, CEOs demand state's pension law review over 2.4 billion naira yearly pay. That's on page 6. And also compel NNPCL to remit $34.2 billion to Federation accounts. Falan Hotels Finance Minister. Compel NNPCL to remit $34.2 billion to Federation accounts. Falan Hotels Finance Minister. Supreme Court delivers judgments today in Atiku Obi's appeal against Tinubu. 3 on murder trial over witchcraft allegations. Killing of 5. The President approves 18 billion naira assurance policy for families of fallen heroes. You see all of these on the front page of the Guardian newspaper. Racing to the next newspaper is the Punch newspaper. And the screaming headline here, diesel, jet fuel, rising prices, threaten industries, airlines. And diesel, aviation fuel sell for 1,000 naira. Factories shut in Kano, Ogun, Anambra, others. Telecoms operators use 40 million litres of diesel monthly. Man warns against hike. Above the nameplate, Supreme Court decides today, Tinubu, Atiku, Obi poll battle today. And President to present 2024 budget in November, says Senate. You see that on page 28. And 5.5 trillion naira payroll. Federal government stops workers' salaries, not on IPPIS. That's on page 22. Federal government delegate visits flooded Ogun communities, promises succor. Seun of Ogbomosho to appeal removal, palace source. Mohbad hid for 6 months over fear of attack. That's according to his parents. You read that on pages 4 and 5. And last but not least, National Assembly to probe lawyers, others behind $11 billion PNID scandal. You see that on page 25 of the Punch newspaper. Next here is the BusinessDay newspaper. Taxes on parallel markets transactions seen fueling FX crisis. Businesses will suffer, says LCCI. Private equity firms in Nigeria face worst year for investment exit. Private equity firms in Nigeria face worst year for investment exit. Supreme Court rules on Obi Atiku's cases against Tinubu today. And last on the front page of the BusinessDay newspaper that I'll be taking is Chronicle of Nigeria's $11 billion PNID legal showdown. You can read that on page 2 of the BusinessDay newspaper. Quite interesting read for the newspaper this morning. But one of the things that I found quite interesting here is the probe that is ongoing, which others are already sending death threats to, to those who are looking into the probe matter. But the very important thing is that they need to get to the bottom of those, who have been, ripping Nigeria off via, failed scandal. Failed contract and all of this.
Absolutely, and that's why the government is, investigating these matters. Unfortunately, corruption will always want to fight back, like we mentioned.
that expression.
Yes, like we saw earlier, and we only hope that we get to the bottom of this, because these are the issues that have held us back over the years. Why we may not be seeing some level of progress that we want. All Nigerians want progress, that we move to that destination that we desire. But when we see issues like this, why are you issuing death threats if you are not culpable?
Absolutely.
If your hands are clean, if you have no skeleton in your cupboard.
Or let me just translate the Yoruba idiom where they will say, if you don't have sacrifice in your luggage. You didn't get that.
Why are you issuing a death threat? So we should just allow processes run. Unfortunately, I don't know how far we'll go with this case. I don't know how far, because oftentimes this is why some Nigerians have lost faith in government. When they say we are putting a process together to investigate a matter, they ask, at the end of the day, where did it get us? What have we seen? When you see issues like this, how do we nip it in the bud so that Nigerians can begin to have some level of confidence in government? That's right. So it's important that we deal with these issues head on. Both those being investigated, both those issuing threats, we should go for them. If this person knows that he's been threatened, we can trace and track.
It means that there's something that is being hidden.
Right, we can trace and track. The police are equipped to do all of this. So all agencies involved should look in that direction and get these people to book.